There's a story about two brothers. Kevin is age 6 and Ryan age 4, and they were waiting for breakfast one Saturday morning, and as their mother prepared the pancakes, the boys began to argue over who should get the first pancake off the griddle. And Mom saw this as an opportunity for a spiritual lesson to teach the boys. And she said, if Jesus were standing right here, he'd say, "Let my brother have the first pancake." Kevin, the older brother, said, "Okay, Ryan, you be Jesus." You see, the story reminds us that this is the way, even as adults, we sometimes try and use God to our own advantage. We try to enlist God in our efforts to get the first pancake, if you will. In today's gospel, Jesus is giving his disciples a kind of pep talk. It's the eve of the crucifixion. And he's giving them these final instructions on how to be his witnesses in the world. And this is what he says: go and bear fruit. Go and bear fruit. And here's how. I command you, love one another. Today, the scriptures remind us it is God's design that the building of God's kingdom that Jesus speaks about is a matter of the heart. It's a matter of the heart. By God's design, his kingdom will come, as we hear Jesus tell us, when we can really learn to love one another as Christ has shown love for us. In our complex and challenging world today, we know that love is about giving, sharing, and caring. It's about the deep joy of giving oneself to another. We know the nouns, if you will. We know the emphasis on those: God, Christ, the Holy Spirit, community, prayer. But the reason we are here at Mass today, the reason why the Eucharist is at the center of our spiritual life and our community life, the reason why we gather is to remind ourselves of the verbs. The verbs. What about those verbs? How do we emphasize the verbs in our week-to-week living? Today, scriptures remind us that our Christian discipleship, our Christian living, is not simply a passive one, but it's active witness. Our challenge, like the early Christians, is to carry out what we believe by making things happen rather than just letting things happen. And it all begins with living in the spirit and in the heart of Jesus' love. And so I'd ask you to consider this today. Do you have difficulty honoring people different than you? Maybe it's age or skin color or gender or nationality, whatever it might be. Think about that struggle. And this is what the gospel calls us to do: to live and to love in bigger circles. It may not be easy, but we're asked to hear the words of Jesus, take them to heart today, and expand the circle of love. To expand the circle of love.